On to this story now. Gauteng Transport MEC Jacob Mamabolo has met with Putco management. The MEC raised concerns about recent unlawful strike action that left many passengers stranded and the lives of women and children in danger. Putco bus drivers have rejected wage offers proposed by bus management in a bid to end the wildcat strike. Over 100 bus drivers have been dismissed after downing their tools. Let's speak to Putco spokesperson Lindokuhle Xulu now, who joins us to discuss the outcome of the meeting with the MEC. Lindo, thank you very much for your time here on eNCA. Now, first of all, it looks like the MEC is basically begging Putco to try and find another way of punishing, for lack of a better word, these 105 bus drivers instead of dismissing them.
That's right, Maseko. We did meet with the MEC yesterday together with Putco management. It was essentially to give a report back on some of the concerning scenes that we've seen in front of our business units. But at the same time, it was also just accounting in terms of the people that had been affected. You'd remember that we ferry almost 150,000 passengers on a daily basis. So those are the people that had been stranded during the duration of this particular illegal strike. So the MEC was there to get an understanding in terms of what had happened and what we've done as a company to avert such scenes from happening again. But at the same time, you are right that one of the issues that the MEC wanted to raise, which he said himself was close to his heart, was the fact that he understands that each and every company has to uphold, some of their processes when it comes to discipline, especially with those that, would conduct themselves in a gross misconduct type of way. So what he essentially asked for us was to say that perhaps because of his concern for the job losses, he wants us to have some consideration in terms of some of those that would have been dismissed by the company, about 105. So we did say that we will be opening up those appeal processes. We're going to report back to the MEC as far as his questions are concerned in terms of the 105 people that have been dismissed by the company. And this is open to some of those unions that would want to make representations for some of the workers that have since been dismissed.
But of course, there has to be a way that you show workers as Putco and as a business that, employees cannot partake in an illegal strike that will hurt the business and, keep stranded the commuters, etc. So obviously, there will be some mediation that you're expected to impose on the 105. But I also believe that in 2 weeks, you're meeting the MEC again to give him feedback on what you've thought of.
We're giving, the MEC feedback in terms of that 2 weeks period that is stipulated, that has been agreed upon. But it is essentially to allow the appeal processes to take place because we are making those, some of the appeal processes allowed. So we're taking into consideration what the MEC had said. But this will be open as well so that it becomes a transparent process to the unions themselves. They'll be representing their members as far as they can. But in this instance, what we do want to also call upon as a company is that unions must act responsibly during this time because they, to some extent, were responsible for some of these flare-ups in terms of the behavior of our staff. Unions would go into public national TV or national platforms in the media houses. They would then speak about such things as saying that the executives would have gotten 7% during that year when we applied for exemption. They speak about 60 million rands that have been given to our, directors, and all those things are the irresponsible utterances that get us to the point where we see some of the scenes unfold. I mean, one of those unions is NUMSA that has been quite vocal saying that all of those things. But at the end of the day, we do want to confirm that there hasn't been anyone who received an escalation whatsoever on their salary in 2020. We also want to say that the 60 million rand that they saw on our statements is essentially a non-fixed term sort of a loan that was given to us by one of our directors because of the financial situation that we find ourselves in. So when you find unions that are so big like NUMSA is talking about such things that are ill-informed, it is the reason why you find such situations. So we're calling upon unions that as they come and try to, advocate for some of their workers, at the end of the day, they must act responsibly so that we are able then to manage those relations between employer and employee. Because I believe in a certain extent, that is the reason why your employees would be going to drastic measures to say that, well, if they can give themselves the escalations and if they can give themselves bonuses of up to 60 million rand, then certainly they can give us. But it's things like that that are lies that really would bring about such a situation. So we want to call on unions act responsibly so that we can manage these situations and these relationships.
All right, Lindokuhle Xulu, we'll of course be speaking to you possibly in 2 weeks' time to hear what mediation you've come to a conclusion with when it comes to 105 bus drivers that have been dismissed for the moment by Putco. That's Lindokuhle.